All right, guys, welcome to a live here in Carlsbad. I got three-time Hall of Famer Jack Yu in the building. What up, baby? You doing all right?
Hey, Dom, thanks for having me today.
Hey, dude, thank you for being on. So we want to get into the the phone, right? Everybody's like, dude, you always talk about the phone. I'm like, yeah. Now I got other people talking about the phone because why it's that important. It's that important, and different perspectives on the phone will allow you to get in front of more people. It will allow you to start retaining some of this stuff that you're hearing or maybe have not heard. Or for me, if you're like me, you just didn't hear stuff at the right time. Like I may have heard something a year ago, but it didn't hit right. But now I've put in enough work to when I hear it, I go, there we go. I can do that now. So Jack has a few tips for us. When I say tips, that kind of gets misconstrued with tricks or like things that people can't do. How about just some intel on how to be more effective on the phone, to what to expect, how to respond? I remember my college coach asked us, he goes, do you know what responsibility means? And I'm so smart. I said, your ability to be responsible, of course. Like I answered the question with the question. Like it just didn't make it. He was like, dude, are you that? I was like, yeah, I'm 18, 19, I guess. But you know what I meant. Like, you know what I meant, right? And he goes, it's your ability to respond. That's being responsible. And your ability to respond in adverse situations, whether it be new situations on the phone, in the home, new business, new career, new schedule. What is your level of responsibility is, or how do you grade it is, how did you respond? Did you respond appropriately, emotionally, inappropriately? So, Jack, it's all yours, dude. What you got for us today?
Thank you, Dom. Yeah, I guess when it comes to the phone, you're right. You know, you have 30 seconds, your first, and maybe it's your only chance to get with these families and set up appointments to protect them. So when I first started with Family First, I came with a lot of baggage. I was very skeptical, and I doubted everything from myself to the leads. So I had to be shown, actually. So I'd go to dial teams with Andrew Taylor, Paul McLean, and walk in with the stack of leads, and start complaining to everybody. And then it was funny. I'd say, "Hey, Paul, what's up with these leads? They're no good." And he'd say, "Yeah, sure, hand them over here." And he'd start calling them, booking them one after the other. And then I'd start role playing with Andrew, and he'd say, "Yeah, you keep saying I'm coming over." And I say, "No, I don't." He goes, "Yeah, you do. Good, make a dial." And I said, "Hey, my name's Jack. I'm coming over." And nobody wants you to come over, right? So I learned the hard way, but I learned quickly that I had to be coachable and adaptable.
One thing you are not is not assumptive, though. That's pretty assumptive. Yeah. All right, usually it's the other arrow. It's just like, dude, don't stop asking. He's like, dude, I ain't asking. I'm just straight up calling him, hey, it's Jack, I'm coming over your house. He's like, dude, you at least have to let them know what you're calling about and what you're coming over for. Right. Okay, how about that? But was any of that just fear of, you could say you weren't listening, but was there any fear of maybe they wouldn't be interested if I get a little bit more transparent? Was there any of that from past experiences in the industry?
Oh, absolutely. I think that. Plus, I mean, it's just a lot of what we do is not that hard. It's simple. I mean, it's not as hard as digging a ditch or some of these other jobs I've had, but it's definitely a getting out of your comfort zone. Picking up a pile of leads and just dialing all day is not what we do naturally, right? And it's just we don't want to overcomplicate it. So I think one thing that kept me in line was the acronym AIM.
Okay.
So I like to pay attention to that. All That's simply AIM, acknowledge.
Like the toothpaste my mom used to buy.
That's right.
Yeah, if you know what I'm talking about, if you know what I'm talking about. If you weren't, I wasn't raised on Crest and Colgate, okay? AIM. All right.
Keep it clean. So AIM is for acknowledge, I is for ignore, and M is for move around. With that mindset, I was able to tackle a lot more people and be a lot more effective. So acknowledge is pretty simple. When somebody says, "Hey, can't you just mail it? Can't you just email it?" Of course, I can't. My natural response would be no.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't contradict someone. They'll tell you to talk to the hand. They'll have nothing to do with you.
There you go.
Right. So you have to meet them where they're at. And the best way to do that is just to say, "Hey, perfect. Can't you mail it? Perfect. I don't want it. Perfect. I never asked for it. Perfect. I don't remember it. Perfect. I hate you. Perfect." Everything's perfect. You meet them right where they're at, and that way you're able to put them in a freeze for a second, so they'll listen to the next statement. Then it's handling any sort of everyday objection. The everyday objection is, "I'm not interested. I took care of it. Call me back later." But instead of justifying, I used to find myself justifying everything that they objected to. Like, hey, well, I don't remember filling that out. Well, and I would go round and round in circles and try to explain, well, who are you? Well, we represent and round in circles. Rather, my job is just to extinguish the objection as quickly as possible, stamp it out, with a quick one-liner, and then move back to the script, which is what time do you get home. So as soon as I can say, hey, perfect, my job is to get you the information, what time do you get home? As simple as that. In that order, then I'm able to get back on the script. And once they tell me, hey, 6 o'clock, then we're moving on. So that was one of the big instrumental pushes I had, was just being able to, not overcomplicate it, just be ready, expect objections are part of everyday dialing, and just be ready to handle them without getting too bent out of shape.
Maybe I missed it. So acknowledge.
Yes. Ignore.
Okay.
And move around.
Meaning
go back to the script. So what time do you get home?
Okay.
Going back to the script is always, so what time do you get home? Doesn't really matter what you say, as long as you say it with confidence, and then you get back to the script. Don't leave it open-ended. You say, hey, so what time do you get home?
So if I said I'm not interested, aim me.
I say perfect.
Okay.
Tell me I'm not interested.
I'm not interested.
Perfect. Do it again.
I'm not
Perfect.
interested.
So I can actually use it like a tool. I can interrupt you. I got that from you. Perfect. You can stamp out the objection. Because, I've done this so many times. We're doing it all day long. People, I'm not interested. So you want to stop them in their boots and stop the objection. Perfect. So is it because it's too expensive, or you think you wouldn't qualify? And that's an easy way, and you can change your inflection, change your voice so it's not offensive.
Yeah.
Because I just interrupted you, basically. And you can, once you get comfortable with that, you can use it to whatever degree you want.
Man, now that acknowledge, ignore, move around, and we just kind of went into the feeling of am I just being disrespectful and interrupting them?
Correct.
I know without this piece, I'm not effective. If I listen to them, it's not about the words that I'm saying, it's about when I'm saying them. So if I like that you just had me repeat that and kept doing it because it's that important. That you go like, really, do I wait for them to tell me, hey, I'm not interested? Or do I go, when they go, hey, I'm perfect? You'd be like, well, that's rude. No. You're stopping them before it gets to a point to where you have no control.
Correct.
Because if you let them spit out all of that, like, what time do you typically get home from work? Well, I get home 5, and maybe. During all that, I'm not listening. So I get home about 5. All right, great. You're home by 7, right? Because I know I started at 5, right? So let me give her a couple hours. We have to be crazy assumptive with what our next words are going to be, which is why we have to listen. We have to listen, but not too much. All right, you're going to listen to find your space to get up in there. All right, not to listen to know what to say. I think you kind of already know what to say. You know what I mean? Like every time you said perfect, exactly perfect my call. Perfect, exactly perfect on my call. Makes my job a lot easier. It's not about what you're saying, but when you're saying it. So this whole acknowledge, ignore, move around, there's timing to that.
Correct.
It's not let them spill their whole life on me and then I'm going to acknowledge. And they're like, dude, you just listened to me for 10 minutes. How are you going to ignore me and move around it now? Like you've kind of opened up the gate for me just to tell you anything. And you're going to go, okay. Versus you hear them, you acknowledge it right away, cut them off, ignore it, and get back to your script, dude. I love that. If you learned that from me, I definitely didn't call it AIM. I tell you that. All right. It was more like, all right, dude, let's just get them out the way. But like, I think the acronyms and things like that are always good because it helps you remember. It helps you remember. And AIM, I like it because you have to go in a direction. You have to be pointed at something. Does that make sense? Where are you aimed up at? And I think when you're on the phone, you better be aimed up to know what could be next. You said there's 5 or 6 objections that are possible, right? There ain't that many.
Not many.
I didn't do it. I didn't fill it out. I don't want it no more. I already have it. I didn't know it was that. It's up to us to believe them, though. Can you hit on that? You said at the beginning of this that you had a hard time believing whether they actually filled out the form or not. Is this a legit lead?
True.
Do you have any doubt now, today, whether they filled it out or not, or whether they want insurance or not, no matter what they say? And can you talk to us about when they did say stuff like, I had somebody the other day ask me about internet lead. They're like, yeah, this person said they filled out a survey in order to get the lead. So now on their mind, everybody filled out a survey? Nobody wants the insurance. Worst lead ever. And I'm like, oh no, how did you let that permeate into your brain?
Yeah.
Because once it gets in there, it's hard to get out.
True.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
But I believe when you started, you had some of that negativity with leads and not really believing that they did it for right reasons, I bet. You know what I mean? One thing about Family First Life is that we'll just tell you the truth. If it's a 3-month-old lead, we go, hey, it's 3 months, but it could be 6, just so you know. But it's only $3, $1, right? But it's a difference. But if you're getting leads and they're brand new, and then you hear from the client that they filled out 6 years ago. Now you're like, dude, I paid $38 for this. Now there's some confusion. But at 3 months, 4 months, 6 months plus, $1, $2, $3, I think we just need to understand what we're getting and how to go about it. So what was that track like from going from not believing the leads to being overly to the point to where it's like you don't believe anything they tell you?
True. No, I suffered from all that, a lot of doubt, a lot of skepticism. I came and I had to be shown to my face that it wasn't the leads, it was me. Once I figured that out, then I got back on track. But the thing is, again, it's getting out of your comfort zone. A lot of the word tracks don't come naturally. And it does. It kind of feels like we're intentionally being rude, but in fact, it's the opposite. The thing that drives me so hard to service these people, to make more dials, to get in front of more people, is because I know that we're here, that we can really service them, and that they need it, and that they ask for it. You know, and that's what changed my whole outlook on the whole thing. Because at first I was like, I don't even believe in myself. I don't even believe in these leads. But then you start helping people, and at the end they're like, hey, man, Dom, really thanks. Thanks for being so persistent, because I know I was being a jerk on the phone. And I was like, well, I don't remember that. But in fact, you do.
Right, right.
You know, and then people die, and they're like, you know, you show up with the check, like, oh, my God, you know, you've changed, you know, their future, you know, indefinitely. And that's something that we're able to do every day. And I didn't realize it until afterwards, so that's why we're striving so hard. From day one, I've always had a heart of service.
Right.
But if I go in there, it's just the nature of insurance. You know, it's such an important thing to me now, and to these families, and whether or not they realize it, it is.
Right.
You know, they may not realize it right now, but I know for a fact that if I get in there, I'll be able to protect them, and it's going to mean something so much to them, either, you know, quite quickly. So that was a changing moment for me.
And seeing your clients, and I think a lot of us start this business. Now, if you're in the industry prior, you may have already kind of went through this feeling of like, oh, it's a little bit more than just selling insurance. You know, it's a little bit more than just giving them what they want. And I think me giving them what they want earlier wasn't just life insurance. I was trying to give them specifically what they wanted. I mean, from the day that they wanted their appointment to the time, to did they want, you know what I mean, me to do. I remember when e-apps first came out, I used to give my clients options of, hey, would you like to do it on a paper or an e-app? I'm like, dude, what is your problem? Like, they're looking for somebody to lead them.
Correct.
But I took everything as an option. I took everything and was like, oh, okay, well, you can choose. I'm like, no, that if they had that good of choice making, they wouldn't have a stranger come over to the house.
Right.
Does that make sense? And I really had to start internalizing that, like, oh man, I guess I need to help them make decisions. I need to be a little bit more assumptive. I need to actually believe that they're not checking this out. And I think that at the beginning, I thought that they were checking it out a lot. Like, oh, they're just checking it out. They'll get back to me. What are some of the truths on that get back to you part? I'll just say, let's start on the phone. Of like, did you ever have that stack of leads that was like, call them next week?
Oh, yeah.
What was that?
I mean, in any, you know, I'm going to do my due diligence. So I'd be like, okay, next week, when? And then who's on whose schedule? You know, we have to posture ourselves like, hey, someone of authority, someone that's here to help you, guide you through the process, evaluate you, give you the best product, you know. If not, like, okay, a week from next Tuesday, sure, what time? And then, you know, you're at their beck and call. I remember my entire schedule would revolve around talking to Bobby and Mary next Tuesday at 7 o'clock. And I'd call them up 100 times next week. Like, hey, you know what? This week is really bad. How about next week? I'm like, sure. When? Same time. It's like, you know, you fool me once, fool me twice. They would fool me like 4, 5, 6 times in a row.
It's real.
Know? Yeah. So,
but it's like you almost kind of got to go through it.
Yeah.
It's like Sean told me never to sit down with one leg. You know what I did? Sit down with one leg.
Yeah.
Multiple times. Right?
Right.
But the reason was that not that I didn't believe him, I didn't have enough appointments to really just not do it.
Right.
I was like, dude, I had 3. I was like, so you really want me? So it really wasn't the one legs don't work.
Yeah.
It wasn't that I didn't believe it. It was that the answer was something different. It was like, dude, if you had more appointments, you'd have no problem rescheduling that one leg.
That's true.
No problem at all.
That's right.
You know, so you may hear some things and realize that you may not feel like it's natural to you or that's the problem, but when you get a little bit deeper in it, you go, oh, yeah, I guess that was it. You know, and I guess I do need to, you know, figure out to put the clients first, and I hear this all the time, resolve all leads, right? And I'm all about that. But you know how many leads we get? Like, do you know how many leads? You know, it was easy to say that in like 2013, 14. We had 8 leads a week. Yeah, you better resolve every lead. But dude, we're buying 100, 200 leads a week. How are you going to resolve every lead? I don't even like when people say that anymore. I just don't. I start to hear it, Jack, and I'm like, what are they talking about? How are you going to resolve every lead? Because somebody brand new is going to hear that very literally, and they're going to go, I got to resolve every lead. So what that happens is they don't buy leads the next week, because how would I buy more and resolve the other ones that I didn't get from last week? So this whole resolve the lead, I believe it's just giving it all you got. It doesn't mean, and all you got to check with somebody who's giving it all they got and getting a result. Because if giving it all you got isn't getting a result, then stop giving it all you got and give it all what somebody else got who's getting a result. So you ask some questions there about how they're resolving or what their definition of resolving is, because I think sometimes we think it's a yes or a no on every lead. I'm like, dude, do you know how many leads I have that just have never picked up, that actually gave me the wrong number, that actually don't even live there anymore? That actually, it is what it is. You know what I mean? So why spend all that time, wasted time, doing something because I think that's what I'm supposed to be doing? So resolve your leads to me means just give it all you got, get in front of them. If you can, door knock them. If you can't, buy more leads. And it's a quick if you can. Don't try to figure it out. Buy more leads. Always be buying more leads, to the point to where I heard Rob Kakish go. Somebody asked him about door knocking. He goes, I used to door knock when I didn't have appointments. I was like, damn, you're right, dude. I remember I used to door knock all the time. Now, I was wanting, like, I had to. I wasn't going to go home. I was not going to do that. But I was door knocking. The reason was because I was playing around on dial day. That's why. So you'd be like, I'm the door knock queen or king. Dude, you're the person who messes around on dial day the most. That's what you are. I love you, though. You're trying to find a win in every scenario. But maybe if you just focused more on dial day, you wouldn't have to be the door knock king. Maybe you just be having appointments. And you. So I think once we start getting crazy intentional with that, and things start changing. But do what you can, how you can. All right. So just because you do have the deficiency on dial days to not book enough appointments, that doesn't mean you don't door knock. Doesn't mean you're above it. I think there's a lot of things you find out when you find a way. When you find a way, you start finding out a lot more about yourself, how to really reinvent it, how to do it, how to just do, just how to look at this thing and how to appreciate having those appointments. How do you appreciate it? Now you're like, dude, I've spent 5 days door knock stories always sound good when you write the business, but they never sound good when you don't. Does that make sense? Those door knock stories are not good. We don't even hear those ones.
Right.
I'd rather just have appointments, man. So, Jack, close us out with anything, dude. It's all yours.
Hey, again, I think it's important that we strive to get to that level of consistency, because, that's what we are, We're here to protect families. Every week is a new story, so you have to go paint that picture quickly. Work hard, increase your activity, increase your lead flow, and let's get it.
Let's make it happen, baby. Thanks for coming through.
Appreciate it,
guys.